This Monday.com ad was created by a team of people and AI agents. Reese, our content agent, wrote the copy based on our best practices, like mentioning Monday.com 3 times. That was the second. Johnny, our coordination agent, built the timeline and kept everyone aligned. Olivia, our human creative director, stayed in the loop. Because agents are great, but they don't always know when a joke lands. She had one note: tell listeners it only takes minutes to build an agent. So, minutes. Create your own AI agent today on Monday.com.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, JoAnn Crone. Hello to all my Lolas. We are talking about something today that I have had a hard time with in the past. I bet you have had a hard time with it too. It's rejection. Whether it is something that you outright fail at or a facial expression that you interpret in someone else. For instance, you say something and they get this expression on their face and you're like, oh my gosh, I am the stupidest person alive. Why did I say that? And then you beat yourself up for days and days and days after. We are talking about that kind of rejection. And stay with me throughout this episode because I'm going to tell you why it might be happening so strongly. And I'm going to give you 3 tools that have been super helpful for me. And we'll give you some more things to try out in your own life. So now let's get on with the show. Okay. I want to tell you about a job I had. It was the first job that I had out of college. It was a big one. It was a big one, guys. A talent agency in Beverly Hills. And I can say the name. It was Endeavor. It's now called William Morris Endeavor. They merged to make an even bigger one. But I didn't know anything about this world. I had gotten the job by going to different internship notices that I found on this thing called the UTA job list. I would go to all these interviews, and at one interview, this woman said, hey, you have a college degree. You could get a paying job. I know somebody in the mailroom at Endeavor. I'll call, see if they're hiring. She called. He hired me. I was so excited, and I took the job in the mailroom. When you think about starting in the mailroom, it's actually a very typical place to start when you're working your way up in the film and television industry in Los Angeles. I mean, my duties were basically sort the mail as it comes in, deliver the mail to the assistant's desks for all the agents, and then run packages around the LA area. I mean, our mailroom supervisor, Masood, would give us these big stacks of packages. And this was 2003. And so he'd print out these MapQuest directions and then send us on our way. And we would drive all throughout LA and deliver packages. And sometimes we got to deliver packages to famous people's houses. For instance, Dax Shepard of Armchair Expert. I delivered a package to him in Santa Monica. And I remember he was on, what was the show with Ashton Kutcher, Punk'd at the time. And he answered the door and I was like, hi, here you go. That's all I said. But it was mostly going to different production offices around LA and it'd be delivering scripts. And it sounded much more glamorous than it was. It was basically a lot of sitting in LA traffic. I got to know LA very, very well during that time. And what I really wanted to do, though, is I wanted to work on an agent's desk as an assistant. But there were 2 kinds of positions in the mailroom. There were the staffers, which I got hired on as, and then there were the floaters, who usually came from really high-ranking schools, a lot of Ivies. Maybe they got a recommendation from someone who was a client in the agency or some bigwig in Hollywood to get them the job there. And floaters only stayed in the mailroom until a desk opened up. When assistants were sick, it was floaters that went and sat on the desk and answered calls for the agent when they to help them out. And so floaters interviewed for the desks. Me being a staffer, I'm like, oh, I really want to be a floater. I didn't even know this position existed. And so I started talking with HR. One day, a desk became available to just is calling rolling calls. Rolling calls is you sit on the desk and the agent is driving around LA, again, LA traffic, and you're here listening into everything they say. And then when one client hangs up, they're like, get me so-and-so. And you dial the number. You're like, hello, I have so-and-so for so-and-so. And then you connect them. And the whole time you're also fielding other calls that come in for the agent. So you're like putting it on hold. You're going to one line, you're answering it. You're like, oh, hold please. Or you're taking like notes. It's called leaving word. It was anyways. I don't know what it's like now. This was a really stressful thing. Okay. Like managing calls that were coming in, it's something I got really good at eventually. But when I started, I was not good at it. It took some practice. And this first time I was on the desk, I dropped so many calls. I lost them. I hung up on the agent and his call. Like I had no idea how to work this. Like it was my very first time. And so I was only on there for a couple hours because the assistant like had to go to a dentist appointment. And HR called me up and HR says that the agent called her and wanted me fired. It was bad. When I heard this, I took it really hard. I'm saying I cried for 2 days. Masood had to send me out of the mailroom for like a day or two delivering packages on the road because I was a sobbing mess. And all the while I was like, why am I letting this affect me so hard? Why do I cry when I'm confronted with something? Why do I feel all this shame about something that I did, right? It's not because something was wrong with me. And if you feel that way too, like you have a really hard time taking criticism, or like you even avoid getting criticism because you know how hard you'll take it, or you fight back really hard against any criticism you get. And it's like an automatic thing. You don't even know you're doing it until after the damage is done. This episode, oh my gosh, is for you because what I experience is called rejection sensitive dysphoria. It is a common trait of somebody with ADHD, and it's when rejection isn't just a logical thing in your head. It affects you emotionally. It affects you deeply. It like cuts into you and makes you feel pain that neurotypical people do not feel. But I have really good news for you. Even if you have rejection sensitive dysphoria, there is a way out of it. I do not experience it to the degree I do now, or at least when I do experience it, I can label it in my head. Okay, this is your RSD talking. You need to give yourself some space. You need to give yourself some comfort. You need to get out of this situation and make sure you have a chance to regroup effectively. Versus, JoAnn, you are such a loser. Why are you that upset about it? Do you see like the different ways of talking to yourself and how this is a very, very difficult thing to get through? But rejection sensitive dysphoria, it's intense. It is immediate and it's often overwhelming. And it's not just to outright rejection. Like it's not just to someone saying you suck and you should be fired. It's to perceived rejection or criticism or failure or even the anticipation of perceived rejection and criticism and failure. This can happen to you during your parenting where your kid may give you an eye roll and you automatically think, I am the worst mom. They hate me. They don't appreciate anything I do. Nothing was said, but you perceived something that made you feel that deep in your bones. And it's strongly, strongly associated with ADHD. And research suggests that it affects about 99% of adults with ADHD to some degree. But you don't have to have ADHD to experience some version of this. Many people feel rejection much more acutely than others. And the tools that I'm going to share with you, they're here. They're going to work regardless. I want to talk about this term though, the dysphoria. Dysphoria means an intense emotional pain or unease. So we're not talking about sadness. We're talking about actual pain. It is the emotional pain. That's what makes RSD different than disappointment. Like someone neurotypical you're talking to, if I was to share that experience of saying that somebody wanted me fired, a neurotypical person would be like, well, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. But you know you're good, right? You know you're good. You don't have to be sad about that. They don't get it. Guys, they don't get it because this is an intense, overwhelming pain. And it is not that you're overreacting. I think so many of us have been told that for so long. It's that your nervous system actually registers rejection as a genuine threat, and it is responding accordingly. When I got that rejection from dropping all of those calls for that agent, my nervous system didn't say that, that's unfortunate. You know you're good though. Don't listen to what he says. Try again. My nervous system was telling me, you are not safe. You are going to die. You have something fundamentally wrong with you and you've been found out. Like, that's deep. That is something so much bigger than just disappointment. And that's what my nervous system is doing, exactly what it's built to do. It's just at a volume that most people don't experience. So if you're feeling that way, and if you felt a lot of like relief in what I just said, because you're like, I get that. Yeah, JoAnn's onto something. Stay tuned. Oh my gosh, we're going to go into all the tools this summer. I want our family to actually spend time together in ways that matter to us, not just default to whatever's easiest. And that got me thinking about something. Ease and cost aren't the same thing. So we sat down and we got intentional about where our money was actually going. That's when Monarch showed us how much we were spending on subscriptions and how much we were using meal delivery services. That's money that could become a family trip. Monarch is the personal finance app that tracks everything: accounts, investments, savings goals, and spending. Get your first year of Monarch Core for half off, just $50 with promo code NOGUILT. And honestly, it has taken the mental load of tracking my finances completely off my plate. I sign up for a lot of memberships, more than I'd like to admit, and Monarch catches every single recurring fee and flags it for me, so nothing slips through quietly. The AI weekly recap is my favorite because every week it shows me what shifted with my spending before it becomes an actual problem. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT. I want to talk about the moment I became a laundry sauce person. I was walking through my house and I just stopped because the whole laundry area smelled incredible. Not like laundry detergent incredible, like you just walked into a really nice hotel incredible. And that was it. So here's the thing about laundry sauce. These are premium scented laundry pods made with fine fragrances from the world's top perfumers. We're talking scents like Australian sandalwood, Italian bergamot, and a new limited edition Brazilian vanilla. And the scent lasts until your next laundry day. When I pull clothes out of the dryer, my first thought is genuinely, oh my gosh, this smells amazing. And the pods, they're pre-measured, pop them in, done. No lid, no guessing, no mess. Plus, they're packed with bioenzymes that actually obliterate stains from all the very summery things your family gets into. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use code NOGUILT at laundrysauce.com. That's 20% off your entire order at laundrysauce.com with promo code NOGUILT. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. It's time to make laundry day the best day of the week. You know what I love about a new school year? That feeling of possibility. Like this could be the year everything just clicks for your kid. And if you've been thinking there might be a different path that fits your child better, I want you to know about K-12 powered schools. They offer tuition-free accredited online public school for kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. And they genuinely get that not every kid thrives the same way. K-12 meets your child where they are with dedicated teachers trained in virtual instruction who give real-time support, flexible options tailored to your child's needs and goals, and a real online community with extracurricular activities so your kid can connect with peers and explore what lights them up. K-12 has been doing this for over 25 years. And the best part, you can enroll anytime during the school year. So if now is the moment your family is ready for something new, this is your sign. See how K-12 powered schools can help unlock your child's full potential. Enroll online today at k12.com/NGM. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/NGM. K12.com/NGM. Do that. Before we get into the tools, let's talk about something else that happens with our brains. It's rumination. I had a guest on the podcast, Guy Winch, and he wrote a phenomenal book about the workplace and how to get along at work and how to problem solve conflict, particularly at work. But there was something he said that I didn't get how to apply in my own life. And if you want to listen to that episode, I've linked to it right down there in the show notes. But he said that ruminating and playing something over and over and over in your head is like picking a scab. Like you have to think of it as that disgusting of a thing to stop doing it, because you, as well as I, know when you ruminate, you're reliving that situation over again. You feel the exact same racing heart rate or the tightness in your throat, or maybe your head starts hurting and you feel the pain of rejection over and over again. It's like reopening a wound. But just thinking about it as a scab and it being disgusting didn't help me. It was too overwhelming of an emotion to just be like, oh, that's a scab. Ugh, gross. JoAnn, stop. Because also, if you have ADHD, you have trouble redirecting once something is locked in and emotionally charged. You're not choosing to ruminate. Your brain has just grabbed onto it and won't let go. It is so salient. It is so emotionally strong that you don't know how to release it. And ruminating doesn't process the rejection. Okay, I think you know that too, right? It doesn't process it. It doesn't make the rejection better. It just rehearses it and rehashes it. And there's this difference with sitting with something to understand it versus going around on the same loop trying to neutralize it. Like the first is healing and the second is picking that scab over and over again. And you might not know how to stop. Well, I'm here for you. Here's 3 tools to help you start handling rejection a little bit better, at least to help you cope with it. And there's some mindset changes in here as well. I have found that the biggest difference in my life has been made just by changing my thought process around something versus trying to totally eliminate it. It's like when you're trying to eat healthier and you have this snack that you always go for. I'm a sweet tooth person. So say it's those Swedish fish. If I'm always going for those Swedish fish, I have a really hard time just saying no more Swedish fish, JoAnn. Don't even buy them. It just doesn't work for me. What works for me is when I replace it with something else. So say I replace it, and people are going to give me hell for this, Diet Coke. Say that I replace it with Diet Coke. Every time I want some Swedish fish, I go get a Diet Coke instead. That works for me. It's a replacement. And that's what we're doing when we're doing mindset shifts. We're not trying to eliminate the thought completely. We're just replacing it with something else. Will the thought still be there? Yes, but it will be a lot easier to deal with because you have the replacement to focus on instead. Okay, we have that down? Great. Let's get into these 3 tools that are going to help you process rejection. The first one is an NLP technique. And I learned this from the work of Dr. Josh Davis. He is the author of The Difference That Makes the Difference. And he's also been on the podcast. I'm going to link his episode right here as well. But the book, The Difference That Makes the Difference, is phenomenal. It is all about how to use your brain to actually get the stuff you want to get and also calm your emotions and get into the desired emotional state. That is the whole basis of NLP. NLP. It's something that I am certified in as a coach. It is getting to that not ideal really, the beneficial emotional state. For example, like if you are all worked up about something that you don't want to do, say you want to write a book. And you know that to write a book, you have to sit there for an hour at a time, if not more, and actually put words on the page. But your brain is so mad and it's fighting you every step in the way of the way, just trying to respect that hour that you put aside for yourself. And you find because of these huge emotions that you go and do something else during that hour, or your body actually shuts down and it's like, I'm so tired. I can't do this during that hour. That is because you are in a not helpful emotional state. And what NLP does is it tries to bring you back to the emotional state that is beneficial to you at that moment. It's something that you can go and control. And it's something that me being someone with ADHD, I found a lot of great strategies to use through it and strategies that I help my clients with as well. Let's talk about this NLP tool. It is called association versus disassociation. Quick definition. Association is when you're inside the experience. You are fully in your body. You're feeling everything as it's happening right now. A lot of us are associated when we go through rumination. We feel those emotions over again. We go through the pain, the headache, the heart beating fast, the fear. We feel all of it. It's not just remembering the rejection. You're actually re-experiencing it. Versus disassociation. You've probably heard this term before in regards to depression, for example. We're going to actually use it to our benefit. Disassociation is like you're watching a movie of yourself. So you don't feel the feelings, you don't feel anything really. You are living outside yourself. Now, in terms of depression and stuff, this state happens all the time so that you just feel numb. In terms of this exercise, we're going to use it for us. So just to give you an example of how emotions can change when you're associated and disassociated, this is an example that Dr. Josh Davis gave in the book. Imagine you're watching a scary movie and you jump every time like something comes out, or you feel that fear in your body. I mean, I remember last night I was watching the Harlan Coben series, Stay Close, on Netflix with my son. It was just too intense. It was too intense. And he's like, I am not watching this again. You're watching this one alone. Like, and he likes other ones to watch with me, but that one was, it's a good one, guys. It's a good one. But he was feeling all that fear in his body. He was fully associated in it. Now imagine if you are watching somebody watching a scary movie. So you see them jump, you see them kind of like hunch over, cower into themselves. You see all these things, but you don't experience it. It's being disassociated. And when you're disassociated, you're actually able to take a more logical point of view, both of what you did and both of what the other person did. So when you're in the middle of the rejection spiral, you're associated. And what we want to do here is we want to try to disassociate ourselves from it. So I want to go back to that story I told at the beginning of me dropping all the calls for the agent and the agent calling HR and saying I should be fired. When I was in tears for days and days, I was fully associated in that pain. But if I was to disassociate myself and I would pull back and I would imagine that I see me right there answering calls and I'm trying to get to a new line, but I have this expression of like tightness on my face, like my lips are tight together, like I'm like saying these audible, and my eyes are wide and it's something that I see. Oh my gosh, she's afraid. Look at her. Look at her trying her best. Look at her accidentally dropping these calls. Look at this feeling of just utter disgust and disappointment on her face. This girl's trying the most. That is a perspective that I could not give myself when I was associated in that rejection spiral. But when I step out of myself and I imagine seeing what a third person would see, automatically I can give myself a little compassion, a little grace. Now, if I looked from the agent's point of view, from that third person point of view, not from my point of view, which was really mad and think he's a huge ass, but from the third person point of view, I could see, wow, this must be really frustrating for him. He's trying to do business and his calls keep going away and getting dropped. And he has to call back in. And he's probably in LA traffic, so that can't be calming. There are all these things that he's dealing with, and it gives me an outside view of his perspective, which makes me more empathetic to what he's feeling versus calling him a big ass. So disassociating yourself can really help you, and it helps you get through that rejection a little easier because you could give yourself the grace and compassion, and you can also have a little bit more empathy for the other person. This is a great problem solving technique too, because if you're stuck in a conflict with somebody and you're having a really hard time seeing their point of view, disassociating yourself from it helps you figure out the why. Like, why are they acting this way? And it's not to say that you're going to tolerate them acting this way, but you're going to be a little more empathetic. I shared last week how I canceled on a podcast guest and I got a very, I don't want to say rude email, but it was a sarcastic email. It was a dig in the email on my podcast. It made me feel kind of awful. If I disassociate myself from that event, I could see that that person was probably feeling a little bit of rejection, feeling like, oh my gosh, I have no idea why they're canceling on me. It must be something with me. And the calling my podcast a name was almost a protection mechanism for them. It was how they could protect themselves from that feeling of intense pain. And though I have empathy for it, it doesn't mean that I excuse it and just let it pass me by. It just means that I'm going to have a little bit easier time processing it because now I realize why they did what they did. So that is the first tool, disassociation. It's not becoming numb or detached from your feelings. It's about getting enough distance so that you can see the full picture, including yourself, with a little more objectivity and a little more kindness. I want you to try this in real time. Can you think of something that you may be ruminating over right now? What happens when you pull out of the situation and try to look at it from a third person point of view? What do you see yourself doing? What do you notice about what you're doing that maybe you didn't give yourself credit for before? What do you see the other person doing? Why might they be behaving that way when you look at it from a third person perspective? I'd love to hear how this works out for you. Please, please, please go over to Instagram, DM me at No Guilt Mom and tell me how it goes. I love hearing from you because I've mentioned before, hosting a podcast kind of feels like I'm talking into the void. And so when I hear from actual people, I'm very, very excited. Okay, next two tools coming up next.
I remember the first time we started allowance with my daughter, I told her, yes, of course you can buy that. How much do you have in your allowance? And that question changed everything because suddenly she was doing the math, not me. We went to a musical and she walked up to the merch stand, looked at a t-shirt and went, $40? That's so much money. That sentence never came out of her mouth before she had her own money to think about. That's exactly what Cash App's managed accounts for kids 6 to 12 are built for. Whether it's $5 from allowance or $40 birthday money from grandma, it all counts and it all stays with them as they grow up. No subscription fees, no minimum balance, just real practice making real decisions while you're still the one guiding it from your own app. If you're ready to start teaching money habits without adding more stress to your plate, download Cash App and set up a managed account for your child today. For a limited time, new Cash App customers who are parents can use our exclusive referral code FAMILY10 to earn $10. Download Cash App, enter the referral code in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you will receive $10. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Visa Debit Flex cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, and the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to a license from Visa USA Inc. See terms and conditions for the Sutton Prepaid Card, Sutton Debit Flex Card, and Bancorp Debit Flex Card. Savings and offers provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Parents and legal guardians can open a managed account for kids 6 to 12. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
If you're a parent, it is so easy to get overwhelmed, and you know how your own mental health always comes last. I felt that hard when my daughter was deep into competitive dance. 3-hour rehearsals multiple times a week, and in between, I was taking care of my son. I felt like a taxi driver running on fumes, and still trying to be present for everyone was a total no-go. Those are the moments where I really need someone to talk to, and honestly, those are the moments I usually let slip the most. I go to therapy, and it has genuinely changed how I show up. It's helped me understand why I react the way I do, step outside myself in moments of stress, and let go of so much shame I didn't even realize I was carrying. What I love about Rula is that they make it so much easier to actually get that support. They're a healthcare company that partners with over 120 insurance plans, so therapy doesn't feel like this huge financial stretch. The average copay is just $15 a session, and they match you with a therapist based on what you actually need, not just whoever has an opening, with appointments often available as soon as tomorrow. Thousands of parents are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance, helping them show up for their families. And so can you. Visit rula.com/NGM to get started. That's RULA.com/NGM.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at Accenture.com/Spotify.
So far, we have gone over one tool, the associated versus disassociated. The next tool, it's going to be a little bit of exposure therapy for you. I have the mindset when it comes to rejection. I have to pitch myself out a lot. I want to be a keynote speaker. I want to get on stages. If you're hearing this right now and you're like, oh my gosh, I know the perfect stage JoAnn can get on, please let me know. But I have to pitch myself over and over again. And honestly, most of those pitches, it either comes back with crickets or it comes back with a no. And knowing that, my whole mindset is I want to get as many no's as possible. And no, that is not like some kind of like self-flagellation thing. It is how I can incorporate this reality of just statistically, most things I pitch out for, I'm not going to be chosen for. And how can I get myself to keep going on this pitching path without giving up and letting RSD take over me? So I'm trying to get as many no's as possible. This kind of exposure to rejection really, really works. When I was going for my national board certification as a teacher, I didn't make it the first time, and I took that hard. I was 16 points away from achieving, and achieving was a long process, like took a year each time. One of my closest friends got it the first time. And that was even a bigger blow to me. And I had to pick myself up. I had to decide what I was going to redo in my application. I had to wait a whole year, and I had to try again. I missed it the second time by 1 point. But this time, the rejection did not hit as hard because I got one more chance. I got one more year. And I'm like, I recovered 15 points this time. That little 1-pointer, that's in the bag. Because when you experience rejection, when you live through it, you do get better at handling it. I promise you. But that is why you need a mantra so that you keep pushing through. Because if you experience that one point of rejection and then you gave up because it's too painful, you're not going to get any better at it. It's going to be awful for you. So when you expose yourself to rejection, I know it's hard, but just think of it. What in your life do you need to continually put yourself out for that you may get rejected for over and over again, that you can develop a new mantra for? That's something close to, I want to get as many no's as possible. Maybe it is sharing your ideas at work. Maybe you feel it in your bones when they're rejected. How can you reframe it in your mind so that you keep going after it and you keep going after it? You might be like, okay, I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to get a no. You know what? Johnny from accounting puts everything out there. He doesn't really care. I'm going to take the Johnny from accounting mindset and put my ideas out there. What are you going to pick? I know this sounds like just get rejected more often, which is terrible, terrible advice, by the way. What I'm actually saying is take the thing you want to do that involves the risk of rejection and start doing it. Not because failure doesn't matter. I know it's going to be painful, but because it's literally the fastest way to learn what you're actually capable of. And it's the fastest way to grow as well. Every time you survive it, you are gathering evidence against the story that rejection means something is wrong with you. Okay, we got tool number 2, a little bit of exposure. Go through rejection over and over again. Here we go. We're going to go into tool number 3 now. Failure is the fastest path to learning. That is a core belief, a core mindset that I want you to adopt. Because I think right now you might have a fear of failure. You might not be putting yourself out there because you're afraid you fail. And then if you fail, what does that mean for you and what you want to do? It was never possible. A lot of people hold on to this. For example, people who want to write books, they don't write their book because if they fail, then they're not the writer that they dream they could be, right? Or if they get up on stage and they have a lot of booze, they're not the funny person that they thought they were. And that is just BS. Nobody starts something and is immediately good at it. Nobody. They've been either doing it for years and they've had their failures and they still take their failures every single day. That is how you get good at something. Failure is the fastest path to learning. I am in improv comedy, and a lot of people tell me after a show, they're like, I don't know how you get up and do that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you make that funny. And I have to tell you, I didn't know how to make that funny before I started learning about it. I didn't know what the steps were. I didn't know what the strategy was. I didn't know any of it. And I didn't know how to do it until I started trying and failing and failing and failing. And I didn't fail in public. I mean, not totally in public, not in front of people who don't know improv. What I did was I took a class and I failed in front of people who were learning it right along with me. And I failed in front of a coach who could coach me on how to be a better improv actor. And it's through failing over and over again that I got my confidence in doing it. To a certain point, guys, I'm still working on my confidence. I've only been doing it for a year and I'm still scared to death every time. I start Improv 201 actually on Monday. So I will share with you how that goes. I'm like in the 200 levels, guys. I graduated. So let's think about that. And I'm going to go and I'm going to fail so many times. And I'm actually talking myself up to my next failure is just trying out new venues outside of class. There are some that are available at the theater I go to, and I'm scared about it. And I'm telling myself this. Failure is the fastest path to learning. And it's also failure doesn't have to be devastating. It doesn't. You could laugh off failure. It is the best thing to do. Gosh, especially when you have ADHD. My husband this morning, he had gone downstairs and we have like a little bar area downstairs in our house. It's where we keep our cold brew coffee concentrate. It's where we like make our cold brews in the morning. And he went down there before he went to work to make his cold brew to bring with him. And he texted me a picture, and the cold brew concentrate, which is supposed to be in the fridge, was under the sink next to the cleaning supplies. And he writes to me, here's your official ADHD diagnosis. And I look at it and I'm like, oh dear. And I know when it happened. It happened yesterday morning. I was making cold brew for both of us. And I also had in my mind that, hey, we are out of dish soap upstairs. I need to go get the dish soap from the basement and put it upstairs. That is how the cold brew ended up under the sink in the spot of the dish soap. And I laugh. I just laugh. It's a huge failure. But also, it's kind of funny. I mean, all failures are funny. And there's something that I really share as much as I can, because every failure is a really good story to share with everybody else, because other people have been there. Other people have made mistakes. You're actually a very unrelatable person if you don't have any mistakes. Very unrelatable. In fact, people will not like you. I would just say that out loud. So go and accumulate as many mistakes as possible to connect you to other humans, and you will find that your time with other people just grows so much more funnier. So much more funnier. So there they are, the 3 tools: disassociation. Make sure to try to experience rejection as much as you can. Reframe your mindset, make it so that you're getting so many no's, and just know that failure is the fastest way to learn. 2 mindset shifts, 1 practical strategy you can use. That is how you're going to get through rejection. And if rejection hits harder than it seems to hit other people, if you feel it in your bones, if it follows you for days, if 1 critical comment can undo a week of confidence, I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You just have a nervous system that experiences rejection very, very strongly as a threat. Every time you try something that risks rejection and you do it anyway, you are teaching your system that this is not a threat, that you could be okay through this. And now you have some strategies that you can build on. Okay. If you're listening on Spotify, by the way, for this episode, can you give the No Guilt Mom podcast a follow? That's how you make sure to get all the other episodes delivered right to you, and also how I reach more women who need to hear this. Because when we're able to conquer our own rejection, if we experience it this strongly, you can be sure that our kids are experiencing it strongly too. And we need to have some practical things that we can share with them that we did that'll work for them as well. So with that, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.